The graduation hall shimmered with lights, echoing with applause that rose like thunder. Students embraced their proud families, gowns flowing, diplomas shining in the air. The stage glowed with flashes from cameras, capturing moments of triumph. Yet, away from the center of joy, at the farthest corner, stood Daniel, a janitor whose broom brushed the confetti from the floor. His uniform was faded, his hands rough, but his eyes carried stories untold. He paused, watching a young girl step across the stage, her smile radiant as she clutched her diploma. The sight pierced his chest, awakening a dream he had buried long ago, a dream of standing there himself, of hearing his name called, of wearing a cap and gown that poverty had stolen from him. Life had forced Daniel to exchange books for brooms, lectures for labor, ambition for survival. But bitterness never took root in him. Every sweep of his broom was a silent prayer for the students who walked past him, often without a glance. Unknown to them, he had placed coins in vending machines, slipped meals onto forgotten trays, and purchased second-hand books for those he saw struggling. Tonight, as he bent to pick up scattered papers, something unusual caught his eye, a diploma folder resting alone on a chair. He lifted it carefully, the edges trembling in his hands. Then he saw the name written inside. His heart pounded. It belonged to a girl he once quietly helped when she had nothing. The same girl who had just crossed the stage moments ago. Destiny had quietly circled back to him. Daniel clutched the diploma as though it were fragile glass, his steps unsteady as he moved through the crowded hall. Laughter, cheers, and camera shutters surrounded him, yet he felt invisible, as he always had. His mind drifted back to long nights patching worn shoes just to keep working, mornings standing in food bank lines, and evenings scrubbing classrooms after children had gone home. Poverty had stripped him of opportunities, but not of compassion. He remembered her name now, Emily. Years ago, he had stumbled upon her in the library, her eyes red from crying over books she couldn't afford. Her mother worked endlessly, yet the cost of education was heavier than they could carry. Daniel, who had so little, made a choice. He worked extra shifts, skipped meals, and used his week's wages to buy her the second-hand books she desperately needed. He had left them quietly on her desk, vanishing before she could ever know. To him, it wasn't charity. It was hope. A seed planted in silence. And here she was, radiant, celebrated, holding the very dream he once let go. Daniel's chest swelled with pride, but an ache of doubt gnawed inside him. Across the crowd, Emily glowed beneath camera lights, professors surrounding her like guardians of her success. For a fleeting moment, Daniel's courage faltered. What if she didn't remember? What if to her, he was only a janitor with tired eyes and trembling hands, carrying a diploma T? Each chord pulls Daniel deeper into memory. He remembers nights when hunger gnawed louder than music, when neighbors laughed at the poor boy chasing impossible dreams. He remembers the sting of being invisible, until now. The judges lean in. One nods with admiration, another scribbles doubtfully. But in the front row, Mr. Hartwell grips the edge of his seat. Every lyric feels like it's aimed directly at him. Years ago, Hartwell was the hotel manager. A sharp suit, quick decisions, little patience. He remembers her, Daniel's mother, standing at his desk, pleading for work. He turned her away. "We're full," he said coldly, without looking up. She walked out, clutching her son's hand, dignity shattered. Now, that same boy stands here, pouring his soul into the very song she once hummed while cleaning his lobby floors. Hartwell's throat tightens. His vision blurs. The crowd rises into a standing ovation as Daniel's final note hangs like smoke in the air. Applause crashes like waves. People weep openly. But Daniel's eyes lower. The ovation feels distant, hollow. What good is applause when the one person he wanted to hear him is gone? He bows awkwardly, tears falling faster now. The curtain begins to close, but destiny isn't finished. Because someone in this audience carries a secret. A secret wrapped in guilt, redemption, and something Daniel never expected to receive. Tonight isn't about winning. It's about truth colliding with the past. Backstage, Daniel wipes his face with the sleeve of his shirt. A stagehand pats his back. "Kid, you just shook the whole place." Daniel forces a weak smile, whispering, "She didn't hear it, so none of this matters." Footsteps echo. Slow. Heavy. Mr. Hartwell emerges from the shadows, his expression torn between courage and shame. "Daniel," he begins, voice trembling, "do you remember me?" Daniel turns sharply. The memory strikes like lightning, the hotel lobby, his mother's desperate tone, the man behind the desk who dismissed her. "Yes," Daniel replies coldly. "You closed the door on us." Hartwell's face collapses. "I did. And I have lived with that regret every day since." He reaches inside his coat and pulls out a worn leather folder. His hands shake as he opens it, revealing a yellowed photograph. Daniel freezes. It's his mother, smiling, younger, holding him as a baby. On the back, her handwriting, "For my Daniel, never stop singing." His breath catches. The very photo she thought was lost. He drops to his knees, clutching it, sobbing uncontrollably. For the first time since her passing, he feels her presence, not as a memory, but alive in his hands. Hartwell kneels beside him, tears spilling. "I cannot undo the past, but let me honor her through you." Daniel lifts the photo to his chest. In that moment, grief and forgiveness swirl together. The boy who lost everything, is about to gain something he never imagined. The next morning, headlines explode, "Homeless Boy's Heartfelt Hotel California Moves Thousands." Clips of Daniel's performance flood screens worldwide, his cracked voice echoing across living rooms and phone screens. Strangers cry watching him, strangers who've never known his name. But the real story doesn't play out in headlines. It happens quietly, in a small press hall. Cameras flash as Mr. Hartwell steps up beside Daniel. His suit is sharp, but his voice trembles. "Years ago," he begins, "I failed a woman and her son. I denied them when they needed me most. Today, I choose differently." From this day forward, Daniel has a home, a scholarship, and every resource he needs to continue his mother's dream. Gasps ripple. Reporters scribble frantically. Daniel turns to him, unsure whether to trust or retreat. But Hartwell's eyes, once cold, now carry humility. Later that evening, Daniel walks to a quiet cemetery. Kneeling at his mother's grave, he places the returned photograph against the stone. His voice breaks. "Mama. I sang for you." And the world listened. Behind him, Hartwell removes his hat, bowing his head in silence. No spotlight, no applause. Just two souls, one seeking forgiveness, the other learning to forgive. Daniel strums his guitar softly. Passers-by pause, drawn by the fragile sound. The song, "Once Is Alone," now belongs to anyone who's ever lost, loved, or longed for one more chance. But destiny has one last twist waiting, hidden in a letter sealed with truth. Months later, the hall is packed again, but this time, it isn't for a contest. It's for graduation. Caps and gowns sway. Families cheer. Pride fills the air. Daniel, taller now, dressed in his gown, walks across the stage to claim his diploma. The crowd rises, applause thunderous. But the loudest clap, steady and strong, comes from Mr. Hartwell, smiling like a father reborn. Daniel steps to the podium, voice trembling. I once believed music was just notes. But I've learned its sacrifice, its love carried through generations. My mother gave me her voice. And a stranger, once my enemy, helped me carry it forward. The crowd erupts, tears shining. As Daniel descends the stage, an usher hands him an envelope. Confused, he opens it. Inside, a letter written in careful script. I've been searching for you, Daniel. I never knew you existed. I am your father. Tonight, I finally heard your song. Daniel's hands shake. The auditorium gasps. He looks toward the back, where a man, older, unfamiliar, stands with tears streaming, nodding gently. Hartwell steps aside, eyes wide, realizing this isn't the end of his role, but the beginning of a bigger family than he imagined. Daniel clutches both the letter and diploma, overcome. He thought he stood alone in the world. Yet tonight, he stands with a legacy, a mother's sacrifice, a stranger's redemption, and a father's return. The boy who sang from pain now sings from love. And